Greetings, everybody. Welcome. We got Quinny here with us. Bago's going to hang in the background. Sticks is going to stay on with us. And we are going to open the show. Any last questions before we even get started here, guys?
Nope.
All right.
What's your favorite color?
Start then.
Purple.
Fuchsia.
Is it I can't feel my fucking feet. It's so cold. Purple.
What is the weight of an average rescue swimmer?
African.
Well over 200.
East Coast or West Coast?
West Coast.
I'll see you guys in the back end.
All right. Sounds good, Bago.
Bye, Bago. I miss you already.
See ya.
With every shot he takes. All right. Is we ready? I'm looking for my banners. There we go. Here we go. Oh, notes. Got to get up the notes. And reset the timer.
Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
This here is a true story about crossing the pond at night in the world's smallest cockpit, on the tanker, through the weather. Oh, and to the tanker crew who did that, thanks a lot. We really appreciated that. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Well, there I was, crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fun.
So there I was. I get called out for a boat on fire in the middle of the Bering Sea. We get about 30 minutes out, and I make a radio call to ComState Kodiak, asking for an updated position on the vessel and people in need. They come back over the radio, and they said, Roger, 6021, you have 26 people. That's 6 people in the water. Go ahead.
What? That's terrifying.
Yeah.
How,
Are you ready?
how many helicopters did you bring?
Yeah.
What?
1.
Oh, man. So the question is, did you want to be on the helicopter or one of the guys in the water? That's a debatable point here. Hey, greetings.
No,
everyone.
I
Repeat
helicopter
here.
all day long.
Okay, I hear you.
I'm right there with Quinny.
That's a debate in my mind. Repeat here, coming to you from New Hampshire. Where are my co-hosts?
Well, Fig is in Kearney, Missouri, just outside Kansas City. What about you, Stickmeister? Sticks?
I'm right here in New Hampshire, right where I usually am.
Beautiful. Who'd you bring in, Sticks?
Well, I brought us United States Coast Guard Rescue Swimmer 500, Jason Quinn. And his stories are going to be friggin' epic. So this is going to be awesome. I'm really looking forward to having him on.
Nice. Well, I will state right up front that we have copies of both a DFC and an air medal. So you don't just get those for hanging out.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Repeater Fig. I don't have one. So
I lost count of mine. I lost count at 0.
Yeah. I lost count of the air medals that I have, but I have 0 of those other ones that are really more important.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is just going to be awesome. So Quinny, why don't you take us back? Where did you come from? How did you decide that you wanted to go be one of those crazy guys that jumps out of helicopters to go save people?
So there I was. No, I'm just kidding. So I grew up in Massachusetts and diehard Boston fan across the board. And it was time to graduate high school and go on to do something. It was either going to the job force, going to college, or do something different. My uncle at the time was a Coast Guard captain. So Bird, for everybody that doesn't know that, different services, down at Sector Boston. And he was like, do you want to come hang out with me for the day and kind of check out, see what the Coast Guard does? And I said, yeah, why not? So it was cool because not only did I get to skip school that day, but I get to go down and I got to kind of shadow a bunch of the different rates and different jobs that guys did out of Boston. And we get down onto like a small boat. It's like a 41 footer, nothing crazy, cruising through Boston Harbor. And if you're from Boston, it's Boston Harbor. Just
Right.
so you know.
Yeah.
All right.
I was
want to
about
make
ready
sure
to
I'm clear
correct
on that.
Yeah.
I figured it was coming eventually.
Or are you North
But,
Shore or South Shore guy?
Actually, I was like central, so I can't even really
Okay.
claim Boston. If you're from Boston, you're like, oh, you're not from Boston. Correct. But for the rest of the country, Boston.
Boston.
It just makes it easier. But yeah, so we get on the 41, we're cruising through the Hobbit, and we go back to the dock. I get off the boat, and they're like, the alarm goes off. Whoop, 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 whoop. Launch them, launch them. And I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, you just stay there. You can't come with us. And I'm like, why not? Like, that's awesome. And then they rip out of the dock and they're going on a SAR case and whatever it was. I have no idea, but I'm like, oh, absolutely. I'm in. So that's how I could join the Coast Guard. That's kind of motivated me to get in. When I'm sitting in boot camp, they start running through videos of different jobs you can do. You know, you can be a yeoman and do everybody's typing on a computer stuff and everybody's money, and everybody loves money. And so they're always happy with you. Right. Then
Sure they are.
Then you have like, right. Then you had like a gunner's mate. Oh, you get to shoot guns all day and do cool stuff with that. I was like, cool. Yep, that's cool. And you can be a bosun's mate. You can go drive boats. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I could deal with that. Like driving up and surf and doing cool stuff. And then there it was. Some dude jumping out of a helicopter. And I'm like, yes, please. And that's how it started.
Well,
So,
that's perfect. You know, that makes that actually makes some sense. So, you're tell us, give us a brief synopsis. What was boot camp like for the Coast Guard?
From what?
For
Gosh,
the-
from what I remember, it was
It was a minute ago, right? I mean, it was like a month ago.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, maybe
you know,
there's a funny story in there. Maybe there's a funny story in there. You know, we've had actually had a couple of drill instructors on, and man, are they funny? They're more comedians than they are drill instructors.
Where is Coast Guard boot camp? Is it all in
down
one place?
Cape May, New Jersey. Correct.
Okay, that's all. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta remember the Coast Guard's pretty small. Like in comparison, right? The New York Police Department is larger than the U.S. Coast Guard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So we can all go to one boot camp and it used to be like way back in the day before my time was they had one in Alameda out in California and then the other one was East Coast. But then they were like, no, it's just a waste of time and money for everybody. Send them all to Cape May. But the one funny story that stands out to me going through boot camp is I was in charge or selected and directed whatever to do colors one night. And I remember sitting at dinner and I was looking at the clock and I'm trying to figure, okay, this is how much time I need. I want to get back to the barracks. I want to do this, and this, and get out to colors and make sure I'm on time. So I'm kind of looking at the clock. I take a couple bites of food. I look at the clock, take a couple bites, look at the clock, and company commander comes up and like, whatever, Seamer recruit, what are you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm looking at the clock. Oh, there was no sir, and there was no like, yes, sir, no, sir, sorry. You get your ass up there, Seamer recruit, report over the table. Next thing you know, I'm like running through general orders. What's the color of the day? What's the flag of the day? I am getting smoked at dinner with my entire company behind me, and they're all leaving like one at a time when they're done eating. I was the last guy out, just barely made it to colors.
That's awesome.
That's what I remember.
It's always funny when it's happening to someone else.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's great when it's happened to somebody else, but not so great when it's you. Awesome. So you come out of boot camp, and then where did you go to?
I went to Washington, D.C. as part of the Honor Guard. And it was really cool to get there. You have to be a certain height, and that's all branches of the military, which was really cool. You had to be at least 6 foot. 5, you could get away with 5'10", but most people had to be 6 foot to like 6'6", and that was it. I stand up at 6'4", so I wasn't even the tallest guy in the Honor Guard. I was like number 8 in line. But it was super cool. 2 years as the Honor Guard, marching around. I stood on the Pentagon lawn, the White House lawn, in the White House, got to meet quite a few celebrities that kind of go in and out because you end up getting a top secret clearance to get in there.
Sure.
And
what
then
time frame was this?
1997 to 1999.
Okay.
So 2 years. Yeah. It was pretty cool. I mean, you're dressed up in your dress uniform everywhere you go. So
Sure.
it was pretty cool. I enjoyed it.
And for the record, they don't pick the slouches to go there.
I wouldn't. think
No,
so.
they don't.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, you were probably a high performer in your in boot camp. So
No wonder we didn't get picked.
Yeah.
I didn't make the height cutoff.
Yeah, that's it. That's my story.
I could have been squared away as hell. I still wouldn't have made the height cutoff. Not even close to 5'10". Not even on a good day.
Oh man.
That was even
That's
before I
funny.
got all smashed down.
Yeah. So,
all right, so
so when did you decide on rescue swimming then? I mean, obviously you decided before you went to boot camp, but how did that path work out then from Washington, D.C.?
So the way the Coast Guard worked at the time, and I believe it's similar now, there might be a little bit of changes, but you put your name on an A school list. So as a non-rate or as a enlisted member, I get out and I put my name on the A school list for swimmer school. And then you're on the list and you gradually move up when guys go to school and graduate. Some things that help you is if you get a flight physical, which you guys are all pretty familiar with. You're like,
Oh, yeah.
once that flight physical is
Turn your head
done,
and cough.
now yeah, exactly. But you jump like way up because there are other guys that are on the boats that can't get them. Like they have a hard time getting flight physicals. So you jump up. So at the same time, like being in the honor guard, I was there like pretty much guaranteed for 2 years. So it was, as soon as I got my name on the list, it was just like waiting for me to get it done with the honor guard and then go right to an airman program in school. So
awesome.
yeah, that was cool. But
So, and then did being in the honor guard like sort of give you a little bit of an edge as well, like being able to pick your duty station coming out of the honor guard?
I mean, kind of. So they that's how they sell it to you.
Yeah,
They're like, go
okay.
to the honor guard. You get your number one pick anywhere you want. Most of us go to an A school, so it's of course you're
Okay.
getting your number one pick. You're going to school.
As long
Right.
as
Go
you
to
want to
school,
be a
learn the
mechanic
job.
on a cutter,
Yeah,
you get your number one choice.
right. So yeah, I mean, you could say that, but it didn't matter because the majority of people that were leaving the honor guard were going to some sort of school or were getting qualified to be they're striking. I don't know if that's a thing for other, but you can strike a rate and then learn. It's like
Right.
on the job training, and then you check a bunch
Yeah.
of boxes and they're like, hey, congratulations, you know what you're doing. Take a test.
Right.
So,
Yeah, basically, you go for striking. And granted, I was an officer and not enlisted, but you're going assigned to a unit, and then it's like Quinny said is it's on the job training, and there's a checklist or a personal qualification standard or a PQS that you have to complete, and once that's completed, you're rated, and you're now all of a sudden. But it tends to be more so the rates that are less technically involved. You're not going to strike as a rescue swimmer. But as
Right,
a
no,
yeoman,
you
you
can't.
could strike. As a storekeeper, you could strike. But flight mechanic, rescue swimmer, bosun's mate, maybe I think you can strike as a bosun mate. But you're generally speaking not going to do that. So,
the
all
bigger
right.
skills training.
yeah. So you come out of your honor guard tour and you're headed to rescue swimmer school or the AST school. So tell us a little
So
bit
you did
about.
get to school right out of honor guard.
Yeah,
Because
but
of
it
the
was one of those things like,
You had
Yeah,
the physical.
I
and
mean-
you stacked the deck in your
Yeah.
favor.
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I go down to Elizabeth City, North Carolina. And at the time we had to do a 4-month, like an airman program where
Okay.
you basically go through a check. And it was kind of a newer thing when I went through, but it was cool because you get to mingle with the guys in the shop, see if you really like it. And it was a way to weed out people that weren't like, oh yeah, they're not cut to go to swimmer school. And it was a way to kind of cut through the list faster.
Okay.
And it was cool. And then drop into swimmer school 4 months later. Then it was game on.
Then you get to play, a rescue Randy in the water, if I
Yeah.
recall correctly. So as an airman, you can actually go get wet, and the swimmers will use you to be basically a hoist target. So
Correct. Yeah, known as a duck. So
yeah,
Pete and
that's
repeat,
it.
or repeat and Fig, you guys could go do that. You could go be a duck. You guys could
Hold
get in
on,
the
they're
water.
going to pull us up into a helicopter?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah,
I'm good.
yeah.
I'm good.
What could possibly go wrong?
Right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, man. So, okay. So, but did you get other rides with in the helicopters with the crews and see what the rescue swimmers were doing firsthand, or during that 4
yes.
months? Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I mean, it's kind of an introduction to everything. You're on the hangar deck, you're fueling helicopters, you're washing helicopters, you're doing minor inspection stuff. And when I tell you minor, like minor inspection, hey, kick the tires and make sure they're good. Oh, okay. And it's
Right.
just learning the what's coming. And as long as
how to be around it, see what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the couple flights that you take, they want to make sure you're not getting air sick. Like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
That was good with that.
And if you
So.
do, puke out the window, not on the.
Yeah.
next to
Or
you.
there's a little door on the middle of the H60. You just throw up through that.
Yeah.
And the PT that the airmen are doing is like intense. I mean, you guys they work them super hard because they want them to be ready when they get to A school. Because that, once you're in the syllabus, game is on, and there's no chance to, I need to take a break and PT myself a little bit more. So
Yeah, well, let me tell you, I read the citations for his 2 of the awards, and I can see why they're not letting anybody who's not a PT stud into this program, as it should be. It's for your own safety, but
yeah,
True.
holy
Absolutely.
shit,
Mother Nature's trying to kill you all the time.
yes,
yeah.
it doesn't care whether you live or die.
No.
And quite frankly, so is the helicopter you're riding in.
Right.
Yeah.
So
It's just this added
It's
element
full-
of
in interest of
risk.
full disclosure for Repeat and Fig, they are helophobes, I guess is the term I would use.
Damn straight, proud helophobe.
But they're more than willing to fly a lawn dart. So anyways,
Well, I had
all
a
right.
good ejection seat and a nice silk recovery
Yes.
opportunity should I need it. So.
Yeah.
And then and only then could you maybe talk me into riding that hoist up into a helicopter, depending whether I can
Hey.
make the swim shore or not.
Listen,
Well,
I'll
you know
tell
what,
that-
Repeat? I will be there to pick you up out of the water. Okay. That's the
I
kind of guy
appreciate
I am, just for you.
Yeah.
that warms the cockles of my heart. That part right
Yeah.
there.
Yep.
I will tell you right now that all of you jet jocks look the same to me. You're cold, wet, tired, and happy to see me on the end of my hoist hook.
Good enough.
I just threw up a
Oh,
little
man.
in my mouth.
With
All right.
Quinn doing a mad poo.
Right.
So
Shots
now
fired.
you,
Shots fired.
Yeah. So anything funny happened to you in that 4 months, or is it on to rescue swimmer school and the real work beginning?
I can't think of anything in particular. Like I had a really good time. The shop was amazing in Elizabeth City. We had just a good group of guys that really mentored across the board.
Oh, good. Okay.
Like, it's like I'll give them credit. Like they saw potential in me and they
Sure.
knew where my weaknesses were. So they specifically targeted some of my weaknesses to make me stronger in that area. And they told me that's what they were doing. And it was like there was no hidden agendas. There wasn't anything on the back end. They were like, you're not doing pull-ups to do pull-ups. They're like, you're doing pull-ups because you need to be stronger at pull-ups. You're doing push-ups because you need stronger push-ups. Like that's why you're doing them. And it was,
Okay.
and then there was the lean or rest. Okay.
Lean and rest.
Yeah. But I would ask, like, I was one of the airmen that would ask for more. And I know it sounds kind of crazy, but we would do like lengths in the pool and I'd be like, hey, can I do one more lap? It just I want to get stronger. It was, would go on a group run and I would ask to sprint the last 100 meters and they're like, yeah. But that's what but okay. So you guys know when you start seeing young guys that are motivated like that, it just it helps your training because now they want to invest in you. And I want to invest in people like that that come to me and be like, you know what, I want to do this again. Can I do that whole thing again? Absolutely. Okay. And I will invest my time. So that's what I was looking for. I wanted people to invest in me so that I could succeed. So
Excellent.
You know what? This was the best explanation of what it is that makes a United States Coast Guard rescue swimmer a rescue swimmer. It's that mindset of it's not about getting it being good enough, but it's being the best that I can be. And that every time I strapped in and had one of my swimmers in the back seat or in the back, I knew that's what was behind me. And can't say enough positive, about you guys. So but that's you just like in terms of actions and deeds, you just nailed it. So that's awesome.
So what Sticks is not telling you is that as soon as we get in the back of the helicopter, my feet go up and I'm sleeping before takeoff. So
Like a typical air crew. I would expect nothing less.
exactly.
Yeah. No, I mean in full disclosure, so I'm a newly minted aircraft commander, and I'm in the pattern. So I'm on duty. I've got my crew. We're out doing some bounces in the pattern, and all of a sudden, the airstay calls up and says, "Hey, we got a case for you." So I'm like, "Okay, great." So, and the plan, we left the swimmer behind. We said, "Okay, well, if you get a case, just call and I'll swing it. We'll swing over, pick you up, and get in the helicopter." Well, I completely forgot that the swimmer wasn't back there. So I'm like maybe 5 miles out away from the airstay, and I forgot my rescue swimmer. So, quickly dash back, pick him up, thoroughly embarrassed. So what do? I make a checklist for myself. So I have what I now call my SAR laundry list. And item 3 on that SAR laundry list, do you have your rescue swimmer?
That is awesome. What a good idea.
Yeah, I felt like such a dumbass, but it was just, I was in the pattern doing bounces, didn't really think much of it, figured, oh yeah, no, I'm a fully equipped, ready helicopter, and I jumped immediately to that case. So yeah, dumbass in action. But all right, so we haven't even gotten to, let's jump into swimmer school. So walk us through that. Day 1, you're, all of a sudden, like, that one deserves a new call sign. Yeah. Mr. Forgetful. So anyways, walk us through what that, what happened there? Like, what's it like in the day before, the day of, and then from there?
I imagine for you guys is a comparison. It's like the first day you're getting into flight school, you're a little nervous about what you're getting into. You're like, oh my God, this is like day 1. Don't screw anything up. And for us, it's get in, you do your PT test, and you have to do an in test. And if you don't pass your in test, that's the last day you're there. You're gone. That's how quick that is. So, but I mean, none of us.
Quinn, not passing that?
Yeah, that's my question. How many people get axed right there? I would assume you would not show up unless you were ready.
Correct. So that's the greatest part about having the airman program at the time.
Right.
Now, I can't speak to what they do now. I believe there is some sort of a program, but I don't know what it is currently today. But in my generation, the airmen were set up for success. Like, you will show up and you will be able to pass PT test. Prior to that, guys would show up, not be able to pass, they're gone.
Wow.
So now, like, all right, so day 1, PT test, everybody passes. You meet your classmates. Everybody checks into the barracks. You're going through your thing. And then there are 3 phases that I went through. Phase 1 was 4 weeks, which is just you're the baby class. And then you get to phase 2, you're the junior class. And then phase 3, you're the senior class. And each phase is a different set of skills that you need to learn in the water. And it just progressively gets harder and harder and harder. The numbers constantly go up. The times constantly come down. So your fin work, your recovery work, your underwater stuff, you got to be comfortable in the water. And by the time you hit phase 3, you guys will appreciate this. You do your pilot disentanglement techniques, and we learn it. We go over it for about 4 weeks, where you're jumping into parachutes. you're underneath parachutes, you're following your shard lines, you're doing all your disconnects, you're taking off your mask, your helmet, you're disconnecting all your coke fittings.
Coke fittings.
Coke fittings.
Thank
fittings.
you. Woo!
KOCH.
It's been a hot minute. All right. But yeah, releasing that to get rid of your parachute, and then you're doing your head, neck, and check on your pilot to get everybody ready to go. And then your last bit was our multis, and that's where you get multiple people in the water, maybe in a raft, maybe everybody's in the water. It's every
How much
scenario
is
is
this
a little bit
pool
different.
versus open water?
The
This is all
majority
pool
of it's in the pool. Yeah.
Okay.
We had a handful, a couple days in the open water, but not many. That is actually reserved more for advanced rescue swimmer school, or sorry, AHRS, which is Advanced Helicopter Aircrew Training School,
Okay.
which is in Astoria, Oregon, which is amazing. Yeah.
Cape
Oh, it's
Disappointment.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay,
can
call
we?
it
because
Cape
then
Dis-
the reason I'm asking is, I mean, that's terrifying being under a parachute. They got divers down there. They got scuba divers.
No.
So
Time out.
I before we get too far down range, the day one PT test. Day one PT test at your
Yeah, what's
swimmer
that like?
school. Talk us through that? What was the PT test?
Oh gosh, off the top of my head, you had to do. You started with like a 1.5 mile run, and it needed to be under 12 minutes. You
Okay.
needed to be able to bang out like I think it was 50 push-ups, and you had 2 minutes. They have to be unbroken, and a standard military push-up. So your arms have to come to that 90-degree angle, and most people will have a fist on the ground, so your chest has to touch the fist. But you have to do 50 unbroken, 60 sit-ups, I think, off the top of my head, and that's your shoulder blades have to touch the ground, and your elbows have to come past the top of your knees. You'll have somebody sitting on your feet to hold them.
Is that timed as
5
well?
pull-ups.
Is that everything's timed? Or like 60 and 60 seconds and so on and so forth?
Everything was actually in like a 2-minute block. So,
Okay.
and that was kind of your rest phase in between sets. So if you can imagine, it's almost like 2 minutes on, 2 minutes, or 2 minutes on, and whatever the rest time is when you're done to the next 2 minutes. At least that's what I remember.
Okay.
So
And then
actually,
you jump on.
I pulled it up online
Go ahead.
here. So
nice.
push-ups, 40 push-ups in 2 minutes, sit-ups, 40 sit-ups in 2 minutes, side planks for 30 seconds, 3 pull-ups, 1.5 mile run in under
That's
12
old.
minutes. Yeah, it looks like it may be.
Or
maybe
that might be new. My shit was harder.
That
Yeah.
seems pretty lame to me.
Yeah.
I don't.
I think
that might
that's
be
the bottom-
today's.
That's the bottom rung.
That
You
might
know,
be
and I think
today.
you may, you may
Yeah.
come in with that, but then I don't think if that's where
That's
where
not
you're at,
maxing it. That's the
Yeah.
minimums
Okay.
probably.
No.
yeah,
Gotcha.
that's the absolute minimum. That's the bottom floor.
Yeah.
And
No.
so yeah, I mean it's
that's what you
it
need to
does-
do to stay after
My
day one.
my
Okay.
guess is. Oh, okay. I was going to say my guess is being you needed to max everything, or
Yes.
see ya. Right.
Yeah.
They're going
Well,
to figure
and
out
that's
if
what
you're
we do.
weak at that point.
Right.
You know, if you're not meeting those minimums, then you're in deep trouble.
All right.
So-
Thank you for that. I couldn't get
Sure.
past that. Carry on.
No, it's all good.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
well. I'll add one more thing in because again, rescue swimmer, we got to get in the pool. So you have
Yep.
to swim a 500, and off the top
12
of my
minutes.
head, it was like 12 minutes.
12
okay.
minutes.
Now that's day one. We have an out test, and a out test, all the numbers are higher and all the times are faster. So if you
Sure.
don't meet it, you don't graduate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's but again, you have 16 weeks of training. So
well, I was going to say
it's-
they also set you up for success. They don't want you to fail, right?
Correct.
So they're going to
Kind
train
of.
you as best they can. Well, yeah, I mean, they're not going to lower the standard, but by the same token, they're
No.
going to give you the program that you need to follow to pass if you follow it. I'm assuming.
yes,
actually,
with the
I just pulled up-
stressor in there.
Yeah, I just pulled up the Rescue Swimmer Fitness standards, and this actually is a little more detailed. So you've got pass, which is those that I just described. You have good, and then great, and then gold. Your gold standards are a 500-yard swim in sub 8 minutes, push-ups 80, sit-ups 90, pull-ups 15, chin-ups 15, and a 1.5 mile run in sub 9 minutes. So
That's rocking it.
Damn.
Yeah. All right.
yeah.
The new guys that are coming through right now, the swimmer program, they're absolute studs.
Yeah.
Like they're machines. It's incredible to see. Yeah,
Okay.
it's impressive.
Well, so I want to get back in the pool where you were terrifying me a minute ago. You're cutting shroud lines. You're getting out from underneath the canopy, that kind of stuff. Because what people don't understand, I don't think, if you haven't been around it, a sinking canopy will carry a lot of weight down. It is not it's not something that you can just pull yourself out from under a chute.
Correct.
So,
and something else is when a parachute gets wet, as you guys probably know, you can't breathe. Like you can breathe through a parachute if you just had it like on your face. As soon as you get wet, forget about it. Not even a little bit. So you have to find like the apex of the parachute, push it up to get air in and create the bubble. So now you can find your way out with the bubble of air that you've created from the apex. It's wild. So yeah.
So,
don't worry, guys. I was coming to save you. I was ready.
So I think one thing, like, so this is not your ordinary pool either. Okay. This is like, let's actually refer to this more so as the Rescue Swimmer Playground. Because here it is. Now, if you take a look, this is, here you've got a small boat.
Okay, so Sticks has put up a photo that essentially they're either generating waves or the waves are from the shit they're doing, but they've got a crane and appears to be about a 18, 20 foot boat. They're lifting out of the water with that, and there's plenty of room for that boat and more. So,
and if you look back here, if you look in the back, you see two blowers. I believe that's to sort of simulate some winds, unless I'm mistaken, Quinny.
Oh yeah,
I believe so. So I hate to do. I'm sorry, Sticks, but that wasn't my pool.
That wasn't your pool,
school, bro.
Okay, all right. But that's where we're at. That's where we've evolved to now.
Yeah, let's hear from.
Yeah.
What was it like?
Yeah. So for me, I had 6 lanes. I had almost a normal pool with a tower. We had an extra tower and we had like faucets, hoses that would spray like rotor wash. This is what it was. But it's school to school. You guys know when you go through pilot training, school to school, you're there to learn. And they are there to push every button they possibly can. They're there to max your stress level and see if you can handle it mentally and physically. So maybe reverse that, physically first and then mentally later, because you're just taxed to no end. And it's interesting when people are underwater, there's two things. One, nobody can hear you scream. And two, a lot of people are scared underwater when you can't breathe. And you're like, oh, that's not fun. So
that's the will to live right there.
Yeah, totally. So if you can overcome that, then you're good.
How comfortable were you ahead of time when you got there? How comfortable were you in the water? Did you grow up around it, or had you?
I did.
Worked on it. Okay,
yeah, that was kind of, so. I know I didn't really touch on too much of growing up, but I grew up on a lake in Mass. So every summer I was in the water. We used to like jump out of trees and stuff as a kids, and
nice.
Baywatch was the show. So we would take our boat and like wide open and then jump off it, and water tubing. How high could you friggin' jump off a wave? And
unbeknownst to you were getting pre-rescue swimmer training back when you were, adolescent.
No doubt.
Right.
That was it was So I was relatively comfortable in the water. What I did not expect was the how long you need to stay under, and then how to like calm yourself when you don't have air and it's coming. It's an interesting, like free divers, they get it, and people, because you have to literally like calm yourself while you're moving, and it's a weird technique to have to do. The other one did you guys ever have to, I know Sticks has, but Repeat and Fig, did you guys ever have to go through like a dunker where you flip upside down in the compound?
Oh yeah. Okay. So the helo dunker, right? The multiple crew helo dunker. They blind. The final one was you were blindfolded, basically. You had goggles on that were opaque you, so you couldn't see out, and you couldn't release your seatbelt until the movement stopped. Of course, it didn't stop until it was underwater and inverted. Right.
Correct.
And so
love it.
Yeah, your buddy's kicking you in the face, and you're like, "Fuck! I just got to relax here for a second." I would just sit still until I didn't feel movement around me. Then I would hand over hand, find a window and leave so I didn't get kicked in the face. But that's it. Because it's easy to panic, especially if you can't see.
So when us swimmers would go in there, it was see who could stay under the longest.
Oh, shit.
So what's your record? Gotta ask. What's your record?
It's like, is it like you're playing chicken?
Idea.
You're playing chicken with all your classmates. You're like, I'm not moving. You guys might as well leave because I'm not leaving.
First.
The divers would always reach in and just pull us out. I'd be like, you idiots, get out of the damn pool. But it's kind of circle back to that is being comfortable in the water is that, and you guys know when you get upside down and the average person can relate when they get water up their nose, it sucks, right?
Oh yeah.
So the idea behind it is to embrace the pain, embrace the burn in the nose. And then once you embrace it and it's there for a minute and then it goes away and you're like, oh, okay, now I'm good to go. The burning is already gone. Let's just move on. So now as long as you can hold your breath, let it ride.
Right.
So, but
nice.
Yeah. Get comfortable and uncomfortable and you're good.
Yeah.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable. And how did you learn to calm yourself? What was your technique?
I think it was a combination of just like going through the school and you'll talk to your other classmates as far as like what things they're doing and be like, man, we will always, or at least our class would always talk about what little things that we would do. One of my buddies, he had like a little gecko in like the pouch of his Triton harness. So he would, as soon as we would get in the pool and go underwater, he'd take it out and he'd swim it across the bottom of the pool. And that was his way to like get out of like the fact that you're underwater. You have something to like mess around with. So, and I'm like, and then I'd be like looking at it like, what are you doing, dude? So that takes your mind out of it.
Sure.
So little things like that.
And there's that drill that you guys do where you have the brick and you have to push the brick along the bottom of the pool with a buddy. Is that correct?
Yeah. That's right. So you get,
oh boy.
Two people. Are you guys familiar with a dive brick?
Nope.
Oh, what's
all
the
right?
brick?
A dive brick is about a 5 pound, like just a brick. It's a blue brick. It's all the rubber brick ish, 5 to 8 pounds ish. And what you would do is two guys, like, all right. So Fig, I'm gonna put you and me in it. Ready? So you and I are both touching the brick. We go underwater together and we push the brick together to a certain point. And then only one of us can breathe at one point. So we'll stop. You go take a breath, come back down. Then I go take a breath, come back down. And then as soon as we're touching together, we go again. And you have to go down to one end of the pool and back. But you can only do it on one breath. So what we would do is we would go to the halfway point, just where it starts to break on the deep. Now we're like fresh on breath, right? But then you come up, you take 2 big breaths, you go back down. So I go up, then you go up, and then we just do down, touch, and all the way back. It was just game on.
Yeah.
That does not sound fun. That does just not sound fun to me.
No.
I'll try it.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I mean, as I mentioned in the pre-chat or emails and all that kind of stuff, I was doing water survival course, my first one at 10 years old and all that. So always been super comfortable around the water, but length of time for holding my breath, I think I've done 2 minutes before underwater. But
well, that's really good.
That's but I'm dying.
Can you do it now?
Man. I could probably do about 1:15 now if I had to. I haven't.
That's really good.
Swam. Yeah.
That's not.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Well, he's got a picture of the brick buddy thing going on. But yeah, it's just it's one of those things. And I get it. There are people who are not comfortable in the water, and that shit terrifies them. And I get it. It's like me not wanting to get on helicopters. It terrifies me, but I'll go in the water all day long. Hence, I was joking around about it's a real decision. Do I stay here in the churning water, or do I go in a helicopter? Which is less dangerous? So, all right.
That's great.
Well, so what would you say was the most difficult part, or was it the whole thing put together? Because I'm concerned, or not concerned. I'm curious as to how much physical toughness versus mental toughness, or both, that you had to accomplish to get through this school. Because I know they're not letting slackers get out of there, having read some of that shit you've done.
Correct. So the rescue swimmer dropout rate at the time, I don't know what it is now, but it was at least 65%. And I believe it's somewhere in that realm now, if it's not between 60 and 70% of a dropout rate of guys that just can't make it. So to answer your question, I would think it's just progressively harder. So as long as you can maintain and you continue to get stronger and you continue to take the pain. Yeah, some of the best advice that I had when I was going in, my mentor, Sean Lansing, he said, dude, if you can get out of the pool and walk back to the barracks, you can do another lap. And I was like, roger that. And there are many, many days. Well, not many, many days. There was a handful of days that I was like, I could make all this stop right now. And it's like, no, I can do another lap.
Ding.
I can walk back to the barracks. Yeah. No, I can walk back to the barracks right now. I'm not done yet. And so I won't say many, many days, but there are definitely a handful. I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah. If you could, so if you could crawl, if you had to crawl back to the barracks, you knew you left it in the pool, right? I mean,
yeah. And actually, it's more like if you can't walk at all, then that's like if they're pulling you out of the pool. Okay, that's a good excuse to stop.
All right. So
I guess the attrition rate was between 50 to 85%. So that's what I just sort of pulled up.
Right on.
How many people started in your class? I know that you graduated with about 7 or 8 when I actually
so we started with 8, graduated with 7, and we were not the first, I guess the first AST class that graduated with that many. And it was the first class that had graduated with that many in a very long time, which was interesting because they were not expecting that. The group of guys we had, it was just a really strong class.
Sounds like we worked hard together.
Really. Yeah. And we worked well together too. So it was like motivating each other. Like, come on, man, don't worry. Like, don't let that get you down. Let's go. Next one. Let's go. 1 rep later. And every day you finished was a day you did not have to repeat, which is repeat. You didn't have to.
Yeah, I like what you did there.
Yeah, right.
Right on.
So, yeah.
Well, guess what I'm asking about the mental toughness thing? How much of it was like boot camp, total mind fuck, as opposed to training? I mean, were you being treated like professionals who were undergoing training, or were you being treated like recruits who were undergoing training?
Good question.
Or is it a combination of both, depending on the day?
It was, it just think special forces. That's the best way to put it.
Gotcha.
We're not considered special forces, but all the training that we do is like all the special forces guys that I've ever talked to. They're like, dude, you guys are like legit. And some of the special forces guys, they're like, why would you jump out of the helicopter into that? And then other guys are like, oh yeah, I do that too. So, but we've had guys that have left the swimmer rate in the Coast Guard and go like pararescue and had no problem getting through. I can list a handful of guys. As a matter of fact, one of the guys is doing it now. He's still a pararescue, or a couple of them. So that's the mentality, and that's the equivalent is what I would say. We're just not considered special forces.
Yeah.
They don't hand us a gun.
Yeah. I think they approach this training like you're going to be in the fleet with us. So we want you ready, and we want you at a particular standard. And that's what the goal is. And if you can't meet that standard, then we love you, but we're going to move on. And that's honestly, that's also how the Blue Angels approach, their flight demonstration. And it's, there's a standard, and you're expected to meet that standard, and they will do everything they can to help you get to that standard. But if you're not going to meet it, then you're not going to finish the program.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
Touchdown.
Right on. Yeah.
It was I'll throw one more thing out there too, is that it's when you're going through swimmer school, and it didn't dawn on me really until probably later, but they're training you to be the only person in the water, the only person on scene. Like you've got a crew with you, and I love my crew. You can't do it without an entire crew. It's not possible, right? You have to have a good pilot. You have to have a good crew, flight mechanic, hoist operator. But When you put me down, I'm it.
Pilot ain't going
Pararescues?
down with you.
No.
Yeah.
Pararescue guys, they go down 2 at a time. Always. They always go down in pairs. A SEAL team, they go in as a team. I think the smallest, I don't want to say what I thought the smallest team was 4, but don't quote me on that. But there's at least 2 guys going out. We're solo. That's it.
Right.
I'm the only guy in the water, the only rescue guy to go down in the water. So if I can't do it, either A, that means I can't get back up in the aircraft, or B, like everybody dies. It's that simple. And that's why they're training you as hard as they're training you.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And it like briefly touched on multis, which I think is like the sort of the last thing that you're doing. And and realize that also, this is what I don't think the listeners may be appreciating. In a lot of cases, people, when they're in the water, they're combative. They want to live, and they will drown you in the process of trying to save their own ass.
Well, they'll try. That's where our training comes in.
Exactly.
Now,
Sticks, are you basing that on what you visually seen from a safe distance while you're in the helicopter, or was your ass in the water at one point trying to gouge somebody's eyes out?
No, but I've worked as a lifeguard, and I also actually I forgot to even mention this, but when I was volunteering with the fire department in Maryland, I actually trained on swiftwater rescue as a rescue swimmer.
Nice.
So I it's different than but I am not on par with our Coast Guard rescue swimmers. It's not what I'm saying, because when you're in swift water, really you're fighting against a stream that you're not going to win. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, no, I've been in the water with somebody who's been panicking, and you got to get control of them. And sometimes taking them under the water is a great way to get control of them.
They'll let go as soon as you go down.
That's right.
They're like, wrong
Describing the way I feel whenever I get near a helicopter with a rotor blade spinning.
Right?
Fucking
duck,
pants.
man. Duck. Oh no, that's me. I got a duck.
They're pretty in the museum.
Oh,
hey, if it makes you feel any better, as soon as they pass out in the water, they're way easier to handle.
Oh yeah, right.
Just hold them under.
Fair enough.
So how from bookends here, bookend your swimmer training that we're discussing here. How long was it?
16 weeks.
16 weeks. And when you finished 16 weeks, then I'm guessing you had to go to like an advanced type of rescue swimmer training. That was just the initial rescue swimmer training.
No, that's much later. You go right into the fleet as soon as you graduate.
Oh shit.
School.
Okay.
Let me come back. Let me answer the quick question that Stick said. So multis, you get, if I remember correctly, I had 3 scenarios with multis. One of them was 2 pilots. So I had to disentangle one of them, which the guy that I was disentangling actually put a half hitch on the lines around his ankle. So I was dragging him and the parachute for about 10 minutes because I couldn't. Every time I pulled the parachute up to loosen it up to get it down around his ankle, I had to come up to take a breath. And every time I had to take a breath, it would retighten around his ankle. It was miserable. So that was multi number 1. Multi number 2, I had I believe
knife. You weren't allowed to
3,
cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not absolutely not. No. Oh gosh. I wish,
because it makes more lines.
First thing I would have done. Yeah.
And they got lines going everywhere.
Yeah. The other one was I had 3 people in a raft. So free fall out of the tower, and then you get attacked, and they go through that scenario. Pulling people out of raft. Who do you take first? And then there you go. Free fall out of the tower. Beautiful. Nice. And then when you after the debrief on that was very interesting to me, because it was like, hey, why did you take this person and this person? And it was the now you have to think like while you're down there, patient care, like who's worse. You have one dude that's like totally fine, just floating on. He's like, hey, everything's good. That dude over there is totally dying, but he's totally dying and he's totally easy. So you want to take care of everybody else. And what I would have done, knowing what I know now, is like take the most injured out of there and, kind of take account of like who needs what, and then go from there. And then my last one was a rig on fire, explosion on board, and then go pull people out of this and throw them in water and jump off. It was freaking mad at it. It's just mayhem. That's all it is. And they're yelling and screaming at you all the time. My buddy's dying. Go help him. And like, oh God.
It's like
It
your
was
final
awesome.
exam.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right.
It was cool.
Well, we've been going
So-
almost 50 minutes now, so I'd like to take.
I know, I love it.
Yeah, this is fantastic. I'd like to take a minute to thank our sponsor, but the other thing I'd like to do is we come after that. If it won't embarrass you, and I'm not put you on the spot, I'll pull this out if it will, and I won't even ask this in the show. But would you be embarrassed if I read your DFC citation?
Not at all.
Okay.
Please,
all right.
feel free.
So let's thank our sponsor, and coming out of that, I will read the DFC citation. So there I was, flying high, thinking my retirement was locked in, running smooth, no adjustments needed. Then it hit me. Retirement planning isn't something you can just put on autopilot. You can't just set it and hope for the best. If you're not actively steering, you could be drifting off course without even realizing it. That's why pilots who get it turn to HSI Wealth Strategies. These guys aren't your typical financial advisors. They're pilots. Military, airline, guard, civil. They've sat where you're sitting. They understand the unique financial landscape pilots face, from high earning years to the minefield of taxes and inflation waiting down range. And here's the kicker. On average, they're saving pilots $1 million or more just by making smart course corrections. The earlier you start working with them, the more opportunities they have to reduce your lifetime tax burden and keep more of your hard-earned money where it belongs. But don't worry, even if you're closer to your Centrum Silver years, they have the expertise to help make the most of your approach to retirement. Now, let me ask you something. If your airplane was leaking fuel mid-flight, would you ignore it and hope you still had enough to make it to your destination? Of course not. You'd act immediately. Your retirement is no different. If you're not taking control now, you could be watching your hard-earned money evaporate through unnecessary taxes and inefficient planning. And listen, we all know the classic joke. How does a pilot make $1 million? Well, he starts with $2 million and manages it himself for 6 months. Funny? Yes, but humor has truth to it, and this one is painfully true. So here's your wake-up call. This is your moment right now. You have a choice. You can keep hoping your retirement lands smoothly, or you can take action and get a real strategy from people who know exactly what it takes to make it work for pilots. Call Robbie Walling at 214-538-7030. That's 214-JET-7030. Or email robert.walling@nm.com. That's robert.walling, WALLING, at novembermike.com. Because when it comes to your financial future, you only get one final approach, and there are no go-arounds. HSI Wealth Strategies, pilots guiding pilots to a smooth landing in retirement. Fantastic. Thank you, Robbie, for your sponsorship. We're deeply grateful. So I'd like to take this opportunity to read the citation for Quinny's DFC, Distinguished Flying Cross. To Jason P. Quinn, Aviation Survival Technician, 3rd Class, United States Coast Guard. Petty Officer Quinn is cited for extraordinary achievement while participating in aerial flight as the rescue swimmer aboard Coast Guard HH-60 CGNR 3021 on 20 October 2002. The crew from Cold Bay, Alaska responded to the distress call from an explosion on board the 180-foot vessel Galaxy with 26 people on board, located 35 miles north of St. Paul Island. Arriving on the scene, the crew discovered people still on board the blazing ship. With winds over 25 knots, pushing 20-foot seas, compounded by flames and dense smoke from the burning vessel that was rolling 30 degrees to each side, the air crew was unable to safely hoist directly from the vessel. With selfless regard for his personal safety, Petty Officer Quinn volunteered to enter the water in an area full of debris, fuel, and flames shooting out of the burning hull to recover mariners. To position himself for the recoveries, he swam to within 10 feet of the massive screws that were pitching completely out of the water and slamming back into the sea. Directing the first survivor to jump into the water, he was in position to quickly place him in the rescue basket. With the first survivor recovered, Petty Officer Quinn was hoisted and redeployed to the swiftly drifting Galaxy. Back in position again, precariously close to the screws, and in the debris field, he directed the second mariner into the water. Within moments, he had the survivor in the basket and on his way up to the helicopter. While readying the third survivor for hoisting, a massive wave submerged both of them underwater, allowing the steel hoist cable to wrap around the survivor. Petty Officer Quinn quickly unhooked the basket from the hoist hook, preventing severe injury to the survivor, and quickly regained control of the situation. Once the 3 survivors from the stern were recovered, CGNR 6021 moved to the bow to recover the other 2 survivors. Again, at great risk, personal risk, and nearing exhaustion, he entered the water near the bow, this time facing the gigantic anchor rising out of the water with the swells. Using all of his remaining strength to stay away from the heaving bow, he successfully recovered the last 2 survivors. Petty Officer Quinn's actions, aeronautical skill, and valor were instrumental in saving the lives of 5 mariners. His courage, judgment, and devotion to duty are most heartily commended and are in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Coast Guard. Dude, holy smokes. Thank you. Yeah. Golf clap. And that's not.
Wow.
Yeah. That is.
Was that a picture of the actual vessel?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
I took that picture.
I was going to say, I was just about ready to say that this is actually the photographer or the author of this photo. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
I could see flames going on through the windows inside that thing. So that thing was completely engulfed in flames.
Yeah. So if you go to the YouTube of this one, that's at 56.5 minutes into the video. But yeah, that dude, that is
wow.
That's why they don't let slackers out of rescue swimmer school.
Yeah.
True.
That's exactly it right there.
So,
holy shit.
Yeah. So was that your opening? So there I was. Was that that rescue?
That was
or
it.
Was that a different one? Okay. All right.
No,
cool.
that's the one.
That's the one. All right. Because I'm guessing that's not your only one, having seen a DFC also. So, or
that was
an air
the
medal,
DFC.
brother.
You're talking the air medal.
The air medal, brother. Yeah.
So the air medal was my very first rescue. That one, yes, that was the So There I Was, and it was. I'm truly honored to have earned that, and I believe the entire crew earned it that day. But yeah.
Hey, what was the time frame? You were in and out of the water, back of the ship, front of the ship. How long did that whole rescue take? Just give me a wag.
About 45 minutes to an hour, give or take.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a long it was a long day because it took us 2 hours to fly out there. So
oh my gosh.
But, yeah. So
sounds like you were sucking wind by the time you got back aboard the Bird, though.
You know, the adrenaline was rolling that night.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
Right.
So okay. So there I was.
Right on.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
That's how it starts.
Then the call comes in, and it was actually, we were the off-going duty crew, and we were supposed to be changing out, and whatever happened. But my pilots came in and said, "Hey, we're going to take this. There's a fire on the boat offshore." We're like, cool. Okay, whatever. So we pull the helicopter out, fuel it up, and we roll. We know it's about 2 hours to get out there. And so I had 2 female pilots up front. Melissa Rivera was my PIC. Kendall Guerin was my SIC. 2 amazing women. And I could not have been more pleased with them flying. My flight mech was Mike Simone. Absolutely amazing dude. What an incredible hoist operator and mechanic at that. I have nothing but amazing things to say about all of them. But yeah, so we get out there we're on our way, and I'm like, man, it's a freaking galley fire. They're gonna have that out in like 20 minutes. We'll be on the way back because we missed dinner. This is like 5 p.m., 6 p.m. when we're
man. We'll go out after chow.
Right? Come on. I'm on an empty stomach here.
I'm just staring at the clock.
Yeah.
Shit.
Damn it. So But anyway, so to kind of bring it in where I started this is that I get on the radio to Comstate Kodiak and trying to get an updated position and like, what's the status of the vessel? And they come back on the radio and they're like, they are abandoning ship. There are 26 people in the water. This is their last known location. And I repeated it back. I was like, I'm sorry, dude, 26? Did you say 26, 26 people? Like, that's affirmative. And I'm like, holy shit, roger that. Okay. So I'm
send more choppers.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh, and actually that is exactly what happened. So they call back the Kodiak. They're like, we're going to need more. PJ's out of, they're flying 60s out of
Anchorage.
Elmendorf.
Yeah.
Yep, flying out of Elmendorf. So they're bringing C-130s out. They're bringing the world for this when they heard that. So, but now we're the closest asset, and we are 2 hours away. There's Good Samaritan vessels that are on their way to assist any way they can. And it was like one hell of a flight. That brief in amongst our crew was like, okay, there are 26 people in the water. When we get on scene, we'll evaluate. We might have to like throw the pump out. We might have to start throwing gear out of the helicopter to make room for everybody there. Now, the 860, specifically the Coast Guard Jayhawk, they have 3 external tanks, and it holds, give or take, about 6 hours worth of fuel. We'll say 5 to 6, depending on the winds, but give or take, right? Is that about right, Sticks?
Yeah. No, you got about 5 to 6, a little longer legs than Tupper Wolf.
For sure. So we, what I remember is after that conversation, next thing you hear, we're on the radio and they're like, hey, the boats are going to beat us there. And Mike and I are looking at each other like, come on, fly faster. Let's go. Because it's kind of fun part of the search and rescue thing. When you're in search and rescue, you want to be the guy that
you want to be first on scene.
The rescue. Yes. Yeah. Because then you're the one doing the rescue. You're doing everything you've been training for.
You get on scene command.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. Yeah. Get some.
Super cool. It's great. So we find out all these boats are going to go and they're going to get everybody and we're not going to get anybody. And I'm like, man, we're flying another 4 hours for nothing. Well, next thing you know, we roll up and we're about maybe 15 minutes away and sun is starting to go down. So it's right at like dusk and all you see is black smoke rolling across the ocean. And both my pilots were like, that's it right there. That for sure. That's it. And they were like, guys, you want to come see this? We're like, yeah. So we like roll up, put our heads like through into the cockpit and all you see is smoke rolling across the water. We're like, holy shit.
Yeah, you can turn around now. Go back.
This is legit.
Yeah. So we're talking about the. Oh God, man, that's a good picture.
Up of it. Yeah,
he does. So that was another picture. I took about 4 pictures, and the camera I had was terrible. It was government issue. It was awful.
Yeah.
Hopefully they've upgraded since then.
Yeah, but that picture looked pretty good though. That really looked like a high quality picture.
That's because they've edited it and enhanced it.
Instead.
Hey, all kidding aside, there has been some great videos that have been picked up on because of an iPhone. Like, amazing.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so we roll up on scene, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to fly over the boat that way and kind of tip the wing. Everybody knows we're here. Got it. We're going to continue on to the raft because we know there's people in a raft, and then we're going to circle back and just kind of look for people in the water. And then if we need to start plucking people out of the raft, great. And then we go from there. Well, as soon as we come over the boat, there's 6 people on the boat still standing there. And Fig, you called it. The whole boat was on fire. Everything, every deck. Incredible. So we're like, okay, those are our priority. Get them off the boat. However, whatever means possible. We fly over the raft. We give them a wave like, yep. Melissa gets on the radio or it might have been either one. The pilots get on the radio. They radio the boats. They're like, go get the people in the raft. So they're taken care of. We go back to the ship. Now, what I didn't know at the time is there are 2 people that had jumped off the boat in survival suits that were trying to make the raft, but they couldn't catch the raft. We literally flew right over them and never saw them.
Oh shit.
It was like, yeah. And we found out that like way later, like days later, I was like, oh man, you know, you like legitimately feel bad because they were floating in the water for like an hour or 2 hours later. It was crazy. Like,
were the survival suits they were in not like high vis color, or was it just the chaos of it? You guys went right past them.
Just here's the look at the water, and you're rushing back to get to the ship, and it's in like I had said in the episodes where I came on. I think every survivor that I ever picked up out of the water that was in an active search, I flew over. They all said I flew over them 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. It's crazy. And you know what? I'll throw myself under the bus. I'll say, I personally got tunnel vision. I saw people in the raft. We knew they were safe. We got people on the boat. We got to get the people off the frying pan. Like we don't know what's going to happen. So we roll up on scene. We tried to send the basket down a couple times, and like Melissa tried to fly first, and then Kendall tried to fly based on the winds and where the boat was. And the boat had such a pitch in the 20-foot waves back and forth because it was like the boat was in the trough and the whole boat was getting hit by like the side of the wave and rolling back and forth, rolling back and forth. Yeah. I will also say that the waves started like really probably 15 to 18 feet and ended at about 25 feet when we left because the storm was just getting worse and worse while we were there. But that's when they were like, all right, we can't. Oh yeah, I know. I almost missed this one. So we're putting the basket down. We're going to try one more basket hoist. And so the 860 has a pretty large cabin door area. So I'm laying on my stomach. We've got Kendall flying the left seat. Oh yeah, that's great. That's a great picture of it. So you can lay down in the forward side of the door and not be in the flight next way and look out. So Kendall's flying left seat. She's going to come into the left. Well, as we're coming into the left, as soon as we start to get over the boat, an explosion happens and a Roman candle comes out of the top of the boat. And it was like, boom, like sparks, bang, flame. And I was like, brake right, flame, flame, flame. And then the whole helicopter, you see it on the video of like, they captured it there. It's like a dip and then I get the helicopter away. And that's when Melissa was like, hey, Quinny, get your gear on. Let's get them to jump to you in the water. And I was like, roger that. So they give me down.
What comm equipment do you have? So you're talking to them on the intercom now. Do you have that on in the water as well?
No, I've got a marine radio. Yep.
Okay.
But it's usually in a pocket.
Yeah.
So it's all hand signals. Everything's hand signals once you're in the water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so now it's time for me to get in the water. And the brief was I was going to yell at them to tell them to jump one at a time. And it was like, okay, well, just get me close enough that I could yell to them. And so I start yelling, I'm like, one at a time, jump one at a time. So I get down to the water, hoping they hear me. And the first guy jumps. He jumps with a giant buoy. And he was in like sweatpants and sweatshirt. Now, for the listeners that don't understand, we're in the middle of the Bering Sea. Water temperature is 34-ish for the Celsius people, about 1 degree.
That'll take your breath away.
So this dude hits the water, comes out. I hit him as quick as I can. I turn around and now I'm swimming like up the wave. And I'm like, before that, I'm watching the boat like just freaking come out of the water. And I'm trying not to get sucked underneath as it comes out of the water and then slams back down. It was crazy. Anyway, so we get the first guy out. Second guy was, I think kind of the same. I couldn't catch the boat. I do remember that. Like after I got the first guy out, I'm, like you're supposed to do as a good rescue swimmer should, put your survivor in the basket, hold on to the basket. They go up to the helicopter and you watch as the victim goes all the way up to the helicopter and in. Then once they're in, you can turn around and then go about your business. And that's just in case they fall out, right?
Right.
Well, I do that. I turn around and the boat's like 200-300 yards away from me. And I'm like, well, that sucks. Now I got to swim that. So now I've got to try to catch it. I take off swimming and I swim for probably 30 seconds, maybe a minute. And I look up and I haven't gained a bit. I'm like, oh shit. There's no way. I got 4 more people to get off the boat. Oh, I got to back up. Sorry, I missed something. One dude jumps off and got picked up by another vessel. So we actually had 5 people on board. Okay. Sorry. Throw that in there. So when I refer back to 5 people, that's why. So guy up. So the helicopter picks me up. They put me back down, like close to the ship. Second guy jumps, no problem. We do that again, and on the third guy, I think it was the third guy. Oh, whatever. It's been a while. So I get him up and I throw him into the basket. And at that same time, we take a bit of a breaker over us. And when I say a breaker, it's like it wasn't this massive whitewater thing. It was enough to tip us and go like over my head. So let's call it like a 2 foot and a half to 2 foot breaker that came over us, which then rolled the basket down and spun us. When that happened, that dude wanted air, so he got like out of the basket. And what had happened was the hoist cable then came down over my shoulder, underneath the bales of the basket, around him, around his waist, and then back up to the hoist hook, which was connected to the basket. Yeah, so he's literally got the hoist cable around his waist, and all I'm looking at is like, this dude's going to get cut in half in front of me. So I disconnect the hoist hook. Yeah, you're right. Pun intended.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I disconnect the hoist hook and I go to hook it back into the basket. We get like rolled on another wave. Hoist gets pulled out of my hand. So I'm like, well, now I'm stuck in the water with a basket, a survivor, and no hoist hook. And I'm like, what is going on? And I remember looking at him like, dude, I've got you. And he's like, yeah, I know. And I'm thinking to myself, we are so fucked right now. That's all I can think about.
Don't you panic. Oh, we're fucked. Don't you panic.
Yeah. Trying to keep him calm. And he's looking at me like, yeah, dude, I know. We got this. We're good. So anyway, I get the hoist stick back. I connect it to the basket. He goes up, and then I breathe for a minute. I'm like, just take a break. There's that's an old school rescue basket.
It's an old school one, but yeah.
Yeah. So then they picked me up out of the water. They put me in the helicopter. They said, okay, we're going to go get the last two guys. I'm like, roger that. So now I'm just trying to breathe for a minute, catch my breath. This is like, for anybody that does major workouts, like high intensity, this is your rest time. You just work for like 30 minutes. Now you get a 10-minute break, and then you got to go work for 30 more minutes, or 20 minutes, 10-minute break, and you got 20 more minutes worth of work. So that's all I was thinking. Just bring the heart rate down, rest and relax. Let's go. They get me in, and now our whole crew is on clockwork. We knew exactly how we were going to do it. It was good. It was all good. So they drop me in the water. I swim over. Dude jumps to me. I grab him. I turn around. The basket's in the water right behind me. I slam him into the basket, ready for pickup. He comes out of the water. I was like, he's good. I'm swimming after the boat. I'm just going to take off right now because I'm close. I turn around and swim after the boat. I'm like, let's go. Jump, jump, jump. Last guy jumps to me. It just so happens the last guy, Captain Shoemaker, he was the captain of the vessel. He was officially the last person to get off the boat.
All right.
Well, I grab him.
Okay.
Yeah. Legit. I grab him and I do the standard U.S. Coast Guard trained full, like hardcore grip. I've got you, sir. And he screams at the top of his lungs. What I didn't know, he had broken ribs. And so I'm squeezing broken ribs. I'm like, oh, yeah. So I squeeze, he screams, I let go. I'm like, oh, and he's like, my ribs. I'm like, okay, no problem. So now I do a bit of what's known as an equipment tow, where I grab the back of his wetsuit and I twist it. So I kind of interlock it in my hand and then lightly go over the chest. And all I remember telling him is like, I got you, just be cool. And he's like, yeah, no problem. Well, we're swimming away from the boat. And I remember swimming up a wave. And it's the most weird feeling ever, because you're swimming up and not really going anywhere, but you're kicking with everything you've got because you don't want to like go into the boat.
Right.
And next thing I know, I get to the crest of the wave and I'm like swimming, screaming down the backside.
Right,
and
now
the
you're
boat's away
downhill.
from me, and I'm like, woo,
Body
done.
surfing.
So yeah, get him into the basket. And as soon as he's going up, I remember resting again and be like, okay, 2 more down. All I know is there's like 20 more people in a raft that I don't know if they've been picked up, and I don't know if I need to do more. So I'm taking another break in the water, just chilling, rolling over these big ass waves. And I get up into the helicopter, and I remember leaning over to Mike, and I was like, who's next? Like, what do we got? And he's like, stand by. He's like, everybody's out of the water. They got one dude they're doing CPR on. We're going to pick him up. I was like, roger that. So now my work is done at the moment. So they're going to hoist the next guy out. And this is why I truly believe that everybody in the crew deserved a DFC that day, because the flying that they had to do, the autopilot the autopilot assist or whatever it is, Sticks, you can help me out with that one.
Yeah, T-Hub is usually
AFCS?
okay. It's the AFCS, the automatic flight control system. There you go.
Perfect. Shit the bed. They are manual flying everything from like the middle of the rescue to the end. So now we're picking a dude up that they're doing CPR on, manual flying an 860 in 25-foot waves to a 180-foot vessel in an area that's no bigger than 10 feet by 10 feet. Those pilots were on point. Mike was just incredible. The hoist, it couldn't have been better. It really couldn't have been. And so anyway,
I got a couple.
My
questions
hats off to
about
all
that.
of them.
Yeah,
Hit
that's
me.
awesome. Well, so you talked about at one point you unhooked that, you got the basket, but the hook was not attached to it. So you get
Then I
that
get it
back. And how do you get it back? I'm assuming that's the pilots and the flight mech getting it to you. But what's the grounding situation there? And explain why it needs to be grounded.
So sometimes the helicopter will build up static electricity with the rotor blades going through the air. If it's snowing or there's a light rain or there's like a thunderstorm in the area or a lot of sand, like a lot of guys in the desert will get hit pretty bad, where the helicopter charges, like creates a static electricity, which when the hoist cable comes down, the discharge goes through the hoist cable. And usually if you grab it before it touches the ground, you'll get whacked. That day, it was a pretty like clear day like the storm was coming, but it wasn't there yet. So
not a big deal.
And I'm in the water. It doesn't let it hit the water and just, you're fine. So good question.
Did you ever get whacked?
Oh God. Yeah. Yeah. I've been,
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll come back
I'll
to
tell you
that
that story later.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then, so you got that reattached. They basically put the cable right back into your hand, the hook.
Yep. Correct. Yep.
Damn,
Nailed
wow.
it. And,
that's some good flying.
Right.
It's great flying. And again, flight mechanic is on point. There's so much that a crew can do that is not talked about, like how you manipulate the hoist cable. And the best way to say is like, if you ever take a rope or a hose and you whip it one end and it does that coil that goes all the way down the road.
Yeah.
Same thing. So you can do that with a hoist cable where you can roll it from the helicopter side and it will roll it down below and whip that hook to another spot. Or I can move it from one spot to another and swing it to where I want it to be. So if the pilot isn't quite where I want to be, I can help it with the hoist cable. It's awesome.
And the one thing that we need to also point out, so in Quinn's post Coast Guard career, you actually did some hoisting as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm a full on hoist operator. Yeah, I've been doing it for years. Yeah, love it. Love hoisting.
But the other thing I want to sort of briefly touch on. So a lot of our listeners here are tactical aviators. So these are, guys who are deploying weapons and dropping bombs. So what I want to ask you is how many like rescue swimmer deployments and, did you do in your Coast Guard career, do you figure, between training and operational?
Like free fall?
We either free fall directs, hoist evolutions, because it's like thousands, right? Yes.
Thousands.
So
without exaggeration, thousands.
Yeah. And the parallel I'm going to draw is that is like for us, like tactical weapon deployments. That's our bread and butter. So repeat and fig, how many weapons and ordinances have you dropped in your career?
2 or 3, easy.
Yeah. So you can just sort of see the parallel. I mean, like they're literally, I went back and looked at my logbook. I got thousands of hoists. So,
Well, are we talking per bomb? Per bomb drop?
I mean, yeah.
Sure.
Like, I mean, because I'm sure it's more than 2, but I mean, you guys.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what we did all the time, and they might not have gone boom, but I probably dropped 1,000 bombs.
Easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
So
there were
the
2 a
parallel
days
that
and
I'm
everything
drawing
else,
is
but,
like,
yeah.
you know, this is our bread and butter. This is what,
No, that's
this
a
is
good
just
parallel.
what we do.
That is
And
good
it's-
parallel. And you guys are doing real world shit more than we ever were, and you know, in tactical aviation. But
And in that post training phase, so once you come out and you're a newly minted, you know, rescue swimmer, you know, you're just, it's like you every time you're on duty, you're going out to go fly, to go train. You've got our minimums that we got to do. You got free fall deployments, you've got direct deployments, and you know, it's just it's nonstop. It's 24/7.
Hey Quinn, what's the difference between a free fall deployment and a direct deployment?
Ooh, great question. So a free fall deployment is literally jumping out of the helicopter. So the procedure would go something like they would call me to the door at about 30 feet off the water. They'd give me a tap on my chest, which would tell me to release the gunner's belt that's I'm wearing around my waist. And then I would get 3 taps on the shoulder, and that would tell me that I am free to deploy and jump out of the helicopter. Usually the pilots will bring the helicopter somewhere around 15-ish feet, plus or minus 5. So some pilots got low, and then some pilots were like, I like that 20-foot mark. Me, I'm good with all of it. The little
So
higher.
that's free.
was
That's
just a little
free
more fun.
fall. You're jumping out of the
Right.
helicopter, and I guess
Right.
direct is you're getting lowered down.
Correct. So you're using the hoist cable, and it's kind of it's a little bit of both. So you're using the cable as a harness deployment to put you down in the water, and then another method to a direct is getting directly on top of whatever the survivor, or like there's a picture up right now with getting a direct deployment to the back of a vessel, and you're staying connected to the hoist hook. So that would be a direct one. That's kind of the difference.
Direct
Okay.
deployments are at night, and we do not do free falls at night. You know, I mean, that's
Okay.
just for safety reasons. And
Debris in the water, and you don't know the depth of the water.
so
Fuzzy picture, but that's our crew right there.
okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
what a good time. Great crew.
Which was that your most difficult rescue, or did you have other rescues that were technically more difficult to?
No, that was my most difficult. That was my biggest case that I've ever had. The Coast Guard calls them cases, like rescue cases, rescue missions,
Okay.
depending on what you want to call it. But yeah, that was the hardest one for me. So,
Well,
but
that's a passing grade. I give you.
yeah.
I'll give you that.
Hey,
It's
I-
harder.
I
to
am
get
truly
harder
honored.
than that, but
Yeah. No, I am truly honored to have earned the DFC. I'm also truly
the
honored to
hair
have
on the
that.
back of my neck stands up thinking about what you did there.
Thank you.
How many
Actually, I'm
years?
Go ahead.
How many years did you serve in the Coast Guard?
12 and a half. Yep. So 12 and a half wonderful years. And then I got out for bigger, better opportunities. And here I am talking to you guys.
Nice. Well, there you go.
Awesome.
And
Right?
not only do you talk to us here, you've got your own show, as I recall. Tell us.
I
about
do.
that.
Yeah, what's that called?
So I have my own podcast called the Real Rescue Podcast, and the Real Rescue is the real and then RESQ because my last name's Quinn, so I had to throw a play on words and
Right on.
misspell it. But I actually, you know what? I'll plug this too. I actually talk about this in particular episode or this in particular story on episode 100, and the Captain Shoemaker, the captain that I pulled off the vessel, is literally episode 101. So it's the prequel to us getting out there and what actually happened on the ship before we showed up. And his story is incredible. What he did to get a Mayday call out, like running into the fire, like burning his hands and his face, and just to get the Mayday
Because
call
all the comm
out.
equipment was on fire or about to be.
Everything. So the whole boat
Jeez.
actually exploded, and what they equated to as a backdraft. So all the doors were closed because of the severe weather and the weather that was coming. And something had tipped over and created an explosion, ate up all the oxygen in the air in the compartment. And when they opened the door because of the firelight, created the backdraft, boom. And that's what created the fire. So
No,
That's scary.
That's
so
we
so
that's
the Real
awesome.
Rescue Podcast. That is
Thank you,
that is my
Bago.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks for dropping that. I appreciate
yeah.
it.
That's
Been going 4 years strong, so pretty
And
happy.
as somebody who's gotten hooked on that podcast now, I got to say it's fantastic. And it really,
Thanks,
what's
man.
interesting is it follows the same model that we're doing here, and
Yeah.
better yet, he's doing it solo. He doesn't have the team behind him. So
Obviously, he's a lot smarter than we are.
well, there's that. Is he though, Fig?
No,
He
sir.
gets on helicopters.
No, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Let's call it a parallel. It's a parallel.
Well, thank you, first of all, for your service. And I just want to say, if my memory serves me, the U.S. Coast Guard used to fall under the Department of Transportation,
DOT.
which shocked me. I always thought it was a
Correct.
branch of the military, and now it's under the Department of Homeland Security.
Homeland Security.
That happened when when the new
9/11.
when the
9/11 realigned everything. And the reason why the Coast Guard is not under the Pentagon and under the DoD is because we're a law enforcement agency. And for example, our hit run unit
would prevent you from
exactly.
drugs and that kind of
the
stuff.
helicopter interdictions unit or any sort of drug interdictions, migrant interdictions, it would be considered an act of war. And we actually have Coast Guard leadettes that go on board naval vessels, and the colors actually shift at that point, and the vessel comes under Coast Guard command. And so they actually will fly the Coast Guard ensign, and they're now taking operational control shifts to the Coast Guard. So they can actually do boardings from naval vessels. So
that's pretty damn sneaky.
Yeah.
Well, I love that.
And what a lot of people do not understand is the missions of the Coast Guard are so vast and varied. I think of 14, 15 different active missions, and we're across the entire globe. So we're the redheaded stepchildren of the military, and and it's basically underfunded and underappreciated. So
And we still have to follow that UCMJ.
yes,
Right?
Absolutely.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh, amazing. Well,
So what's your funniest story in flying or active duty time period?
My funniest story? Oh gosh, man, there's a lot. Okay, so we just lost repeat.
I'm here.
He's
We
taking
not?
a
He's
break.
there. He's good.
Oh, okay.
He's there. He's listening.
He's picking his
All right.
nose.
So there's a handful of stories that stand out to me as just being funny, and a lot of things that happen in training, like training flights. That's where the funny stuff happens, because you end up getting
absolutely.
especially when you have two swimmers on one flight. Oh my gosh. Then we start wrestling in the water or seeing who can dive deeper than the other
boy,
guy.
yeah.
And then you try to if you can dive deep enough and wait to come up, that way the helicopter thinks they lost you, which they did because you're underwater. That's like the most fun.
Yeah, well, what
nice.
people
move.
What you need to understand is that once as the aircraft commander, once you've deployed the swimmer, the number one thing that you do not do is you do not take your eyes off of the swimmer. And, that is, but so then when they go dive down, you're like, okay, dickhead, knock it off. So Dizzy was asking about what about getting zapped?
You got zapped.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. How'd
So,
that happen?
all right,
Then we'll
great
wrap.
question. So I was, this is more being civilian side than military side. I get hit a couple times, just getting shocked, just by the joystick. It happens. But I was down in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm flying on an AW-139 with Aero helicopters and Priority 1 Air Rescue. And while I was down there, there was a minor cell thunderstorm, about 20 miles away and creeping towards Galveston, where we were based. And we're like, hey, we're just going to go down over to this pad, this toadstool in the middle of nowhere, and we're just going to hoist out in the ocean. All right, that's cool. So when you go down, you're like, it's just no big deal. You touch the grates on most of the the rigs, like some of them are metal and some of them are like composite material, whatever it is, some thick type plastic stuff. Anyway, so I go down and I touch, no problem. And I go to grab the hook and I'm like, whoa, man, I got zapped. I'm like, ooh, that one was a stinger, right? So I connected the hook. I go up, like, hey, we're going to do another one. Cool. Well, the storm's getting a little closer. They're like, we've got time for probably 2 more. I'm like, yeah, roger that. No problem. I'm like, whatever. They're lowering me down. Well, they want to get me to a specific spot. And there's like a fitting, like a metal fitting that was just like probably a foot away from me, like not far. Okay. And I'm like rotating on the hoist hook, and I got just close enough where that freaking hoist hook went down through my body, arced from my lower back to that damn, like whatever it was. And I remember like boom, and I'm like, oh my God. And I remember disconnecting, like losing my breath. I had to like bend over. I'm like, I'm ouch, that freaking hurt.
It was like, well, I envisioned like a lightning bolt shooting out of your ass and hitting that fitting.
Yeah. So it was on the video. This little like zap was on the video. I'm like, this is crazy. So I'm like, I kid you not, it took me a month to recover from that. My lower back was tight for a month. Like, this is like worse than any TENS machine I've ever used ever.
I was like, insane. Ouch. There's a show title there, man. Yeah. I was like, ouch.
Ow.
So there's a 139. Yeah.
Fantastic.
That was like the Spain one. Or, one of those guys. Yeah. Somewhere over in Europe. But,
man.
So one other question, and I don't know, maybe we can start thinking about closing it out on this, but I think there's more stories here for you to relay. But,
oh, God. We could go all night.
Yeah, I don't know what this is just awesome. But like, so where you are now, like looking back, what would be your lesson? What would be the one lesson learned? And what would you tell 18-year-old Quinny from the 50? I don't know how old you are now, 45 maybe. I don't know. You look 35. So
yeah, way to recover from that one. Gosh.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going based off of your, knowing that you also have 2 daughters that are older, that have grown up, and
3.
But like, what would you tell 18-year-old Quinny?
It's super easy. Don't quit. Just don't quit.
Yeah.
It's everything hurts, so just keep going. Don't quit.
Awesome.
That's it.
It
is literally that simple.
Yeah.
People like want to get into, I'm going to go off on a soapbox. You ready for this? Are you ready? Like, you guys have probably seen it in your training and stuff. You see guys wash out because they make excuses for themselves as to why they can't do something, and they quit. Stop it.
Yeah.
If you want it bad enough, you'll do it. And
that's what defines the Coast Guard rescue swimmer.
I'll say all the spec op guys, just don't quit.
Yeah.
Right.
How bad do you want it? How bad do you want to be a pilot? How bad do you want to be going Mach 100? Is that a thing? I don't even know. Yeah. Is it Mach 5? Is that a thing?
I've been Mach 100 many times, but usually it's alcohol induced.
Right? Okay, perfect. So whatever it is, Mach whatever. If you want it, go get it. Just don't quit.
Awesome.
Yeah. And don't let anyone take it from you. So,
right.
Well, we can only say we are humbly grateful to you for your service. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you guys for your service. Appreciate all you guys do.
It's time for Rescue Check Part 3.
Yeah, there you go. And thank you to all the veterans in active duty and, of course, all their families who support them in that activity so that they can make it happen. People are alive today because of the things you did, and you had family members supporting you in that, and that helped as well. So we're deeply grateful for that. We're also thankful for the folks over at Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. Those folks help us with advertising, and we're grateful to Dave and Sadie. Sadie's doing some social media stuff for us. We're starting to get some real notice on YouTube. That's pretty cool. So thank you, Dave and Sadie, for your help there. Any other thank yous you can think of, Mr. Fig?
Bago.
I would like to say thank you to Badass
Very nice.
BDS Aviation Photography, who reached out to me yesterday, or maybe it was this morning. I don't know. It's all starting to meld together. With I'm not going to say what, just in case it needs to be a surprise. But yeah, he lets us use some amazing photos, and he's been a great kind of a
Supporter of the show.
Yeah, supporter of the show. Yeah. And Sticks and Bago for being the brains of the operation, especially Bago, for crying out loud.
So
Bago gave me a new call sign.
Yeah, there you go, Mr. Forgetful. Sticks without
Sticks
the
without
rescue
a swimmer.
swimmer. Yeah. So
S'mores.
S'mores. Yeah. So
that was actually Fig.
So thank you to Sticks and Bago both for all the production work and finding
you,
Quinny. We've been asking for a rescue swimmer for a while, and he finally made that happen.
This is historical. First rescue swimmer on So There I Was. So thank you, Quinny.
Well, hey, thank you guys. Appreciate the invite to come on. Hey,
we need you to tap us. We need more. We want more.
Yeah.
We want more for sure.
Absolutely.
There's you know what? I will specifically get a specific guy that has pulled out pilots that have ejected out of planes. That way you can relate.
Yes.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I actually hoisted a pilot out.
Yeah.
There you
and
go.
then, of course, we got to mention, hey, if you could do one thing, if you're enjoying this show, tell a friend about it. Share the show. And
it's free. Don't cost nothing. Just do it.
Doesn't cost anything. And you could also help us out by giving us a rating. So therewas.us/rate. Follow the links, and you can give us 5 stars. Count them, 5. Don't give us 4. We'll hunt you down. And
Bago will hunt you down, and he's
Bago
vicious.
will hunt you down and kick your dog.
He is
give us 4
vicious.
stars.
He's savage.
And you need to check out The Real Rescue. Give him a 5-star rating, too.
Absolutely. The Real Rescue, RESQ podcast for more of this. And I'm going to go listen to 100 and 101 right now. Very cool.
You're going to have a hard time finding all the time you need to listen to our podcast and his, because they're both epic. They're awesome. So
yep. So
put them on your favorite list. Listen to them back to back. I dare you.
And then we've got merch. Go to sotherewas.us/giveaway and try to win yourself a beach towel. And while you're laying on that beach towel, you should be wearing something special, huh, Fig?
Well, if you can't be naked, you might as well have a So There I Was bikini.
Right on.
That's all I'm saying about that.
Yeah. So there's the US/merch.
Because it looks really nice.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
But go to giveaway. sotherewas.us/giveaway. Help us promote the show and stand a chance at winning one of the cool beach towels. They're really nice. I've got one of those. So, and then there's a couple guys that are going to be in Denver on a concert on June 7th, I believe I saw.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the 2 F-16 pilots that make the Air Force sound good.
I think we're going to have to try and make that concert, man.
The Dos Gringos.
There you go. Not one, but dos.
Yeah.
Dos.
You'll have to check those out, Quinny. We can send you some links. They're pretty good.
So, all I can tell you, though, is until next week, I don't know, wait till the hook hits the water before grabbing it so you don't get zapped. Just
let the cable ground. Let the rescue hook
Let the hook hit the ground.
Don't
Let the hook hit the ground.
Water. Don't jump into the water without your dry suit.
well, and that too.
Yeah, there'll be
Till
shrinkage.
next week, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Well, there I was, crossing the pond, and you could see that I wasn't exactly fond of all the shit I was wearing on that day. Now an F-16 is cramped enough, but it's even worse with all that stuff supposed to save your life. But we knew there was no way. 'Cause when you're going down the North Atlantic, man, it's over.
Hold on, Fig. What do you say?
He said it's over.
Okay.
I just want to tell you both, good luck. We're all counting on you.
And we are
That's funny.
out. All right.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah. All right, everybody, we're
Thank
going to
you,
go
guys.
do our So There I Was extra for the Patreon folks, and we didn't thank them in the outro, but that's okay. We'll get them in the intro. So I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much for joining us today. And there's a better than even chance we're going to be going again tomorrow night with a Vietnam POW. I'm going to try and make that final today. We'll let you know. All right, everyone, take care. God bless. And